Is classical liberalism still relevant? Have you ever wondered how the ideas of the past shape our world today? One philosophy that has stood the test of time is classical liberalism. This philosophy emphasizes individual freedom, limited government intervention, and the protection of personal rights. It arose as a response to oppressive governments and monarchies, advocating for the rights of individuals against state power. From the perspective of libertarianism, classical liberalism is a foundational idea. Both share core principles like the importance of personal autonomy and the rejection of excessive government control. So, is classical liberalism still relevant in our modern society? Let's break it down. Classical liberalism champions individual freedom. This means allowing people to make their own choices without unnecessary interference from the government. It also promotes a limited government, focusing on protecting individual rights rather than intervening in economic or social matters. Additionally, classical liberals support free market economies, encouraging competition and innovation without government interference. Today, classical liberalism remains significant for several reasons. First, many political movements, including libertarianism, draw heavily from classical liberal ideas. Politicians often reference these principles when advocating for reduced government intervention and increased personal freedoms. Second, the focus on free markets and limited government intervention has shaped economic policies worldwide. This influence was particularly strong during the neoliberal era that began in the late 1970s. Third, classical liberal ideas about individual rights and freedoms continue to inspire social movements. These movements focus on personal autonomy and liberty, showing that the principles of classical liberalism resonate with many people today. When comparing classical liberalism to libertarianism, it's clear that libertarianism can be seen as a more radical form of classical liberalism. While both emphasize individual freedom and limited government, libertarians often call for a more complete separation of government from social and economic issues. This distinction is important because libertarians tend to reject any form of government intervention, whereas classical liberals may accept some state action when it aligns with protecting individual rights. In practice, classical liberal principles are applied in various ways. Governments influenced by classical liberalism often implement policies that reduce regulation and taxation. This aims to stimulate economic growth through free market mechanisms. Social policies also reflected classical liberal ideas. The emphasis on individual rights leads to support for policies that protect personal freedoms, such as freedom of speech and assembly. Finally, classical liberal ideas about non-interventionism can influence foreign policy, promoting diplomacy over military intervention. In summary, classical liberalism remains highly relevant today. Its influence on political discourse and economic policies continues to shape libertarian thought and broader discussions about the role of government in society. The emphasis on individual freedom and limited government is as important now as it was in the past.